Hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Dokter here. I am the head coach of the House women's basketball team, high school basketball team out of Muskegon, Michigan, and we play under the Michigan Basketball Academy in out of Grand Rapids. And we are reading through Pound the Stone by Joshua Medcalf. This is the follow-up to the book Chop Wood, Carry Water. If you're watching for the first time, welcome, join us. Please go back, watch the rest of it, watch the whole book, watch Chop Wood, Carry Water first. We're going to read chapters 48 and 49. This is take 2. Read them before, super fuzzy, so we're doing it again. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit more smoother, and we'll rock and roll from here. So, chapter 48 and 49. Chapter 48, plain present. At 9 a.m. the next morning, Jason stood in front of his first door of the day, refocused and ready to put Russ's wisdom to use. There are no shortcuts, he reminded himself. Then, almost like a prayer, he repeated the last line of the Stonecutter's Credo. Yet at the 101st blow it split in two, and I know that it was not that blow that did it, but all that had gone before. Pound the stone. With that, he knocked and the door opened. The call went well, and the woman bought 3 books for her kids and 2 for herself. Jason smiled as he walked out. 5 books wasn't a lot, but it was a start. As the day wore on, he found a rhythm, repeating those words to himself before every sales call. By the time the day ended, he realized that he had sold 56 books. That was a good start, but he was determined to do more. He wanted to make the most out of the time. If he wanted to make the most out of the time, maybe he could start earlier. The words echoed again. It was not that blow that did it, but all that had gone before. The more blows to the stone, the faster the stone would crack. As the days passed, that really started to make sense. Learning to focus on the excellence in each step of the process, no matter the outcome, certainly felt as repetitive and mind-boggling as hitting a rock with a hammer, time and time again. But at every sale, he could see that the rock was wearing down a little bit more. He just wished it would wear down faster. No matter how hard he tried not to think about it, he knew that at the end of the summer deadline was coming. That motivated him to sell faster, but it also had a big side effect. It was something that Jason didn't even notice until one night at the dinner table. "Jason, where are you?" Jan snapped her fingers in front of his face. Jason blinked, startled. It almost felt like he was waking up for a dream. "I'm sorry, what?" I spaced out there for a minute. "You did a lot more than that. You've been on autopilot since you got home tonight. You barely said a word to either of us." Jason realized that she was right. He apologized. "I've really been working hard. I know how much time I have left this summer, and I just want to make the most of it." Jan nodded, understanding. "Tell me something, Jason. Where's your mind right now? In the past, the present, or the future?" Jason shrugged. "I don't really know. Probably the future." Jan's face crinkled up. "Well, the only place we truly exist, and the only place that is guaranteed, is the present moment. What I have found is that if I get caught up in the past or the future, I actually miss out on the only real thing, which is the moment right now. I think your friend TD calls it plain present. I just try to remind myself to be here now, and not to let any moments pass me by that I will regret later on. Regret is poison, so be here now. The past is gone and the future is impacted by what you do now." Jason struggled to grasp it. "So what can I do to be here now?" Jan smiled. "Well, I'm glad you asked. Being present is a skill that takes time to develop, just like anything else. When you catch yourself not living in the present moment, take 3 deep breaths and then feel your feet on the ground. Start to direct your focus inward and feel what your body is feeling. You start feeling with your feet on the ground and listening to your big deep breaths, and then you direct your focus outwards to the people around you. Really see them, listen to them, be there with them." "Huh. Well, that seems strange, but I'll try it," Jason replied. "I hope you do. This is really serious stuff. Everything in our life suffers when we're not playing present. And with technology occupying the place that it does, it's harder than ever to be present with those that we love. This can lead to isolation, depression, and a whole list of other issues. Maybe that helps explain that while our quality of life in the United States has risen, so have the numbers of people on antidepressants and the number of suicides, especially among young people. And unfortunately, over 80% of those deaths are young men." Jason was stunned. He felt a pang of sadness as he thought of Travis, nodding. "You got my attention. I'm really going to work on this." All right, plain present. Past is gone, future hasn't happened yet. When you're in any type of game or any type of situation, whatever it is, whether it's a relationship, school, a test, friendship, whatever's happened in the past is already done. You got to make a choice. You got to make a choice to either let that go or to think about it. And the more we dwell on that, the more we take ourselves away from the present moment that's existing as we're experiencing it right that second. And the more we worry about the future, the more we're doing the exact same thing. And we're actually robbing ourselves and those individuals around us of the very important moments that we have together right now. Because quite honestly, those could be the last moments that you have with those people. And it's incredibly important to make sure that we're staying present and staying engaged with them for the long run, for the health of our relationships, for the health of our own internal relationship and what we do and how we can mentally stay strong. Playing present and being present is so incredibly important. All right, chapter 49. I love this chapter. Humble and hungry. As he learned to play present in his sales, Jason noticed a help on the basketball court too. He had always counted the minutes during practice as if it would somehow make time go faster. Instead, this always seemed to slow time down, which just made Jason angrier and angrier. And it became a loop of frustration, whereas impatience only made the practice feel longer. But now that he was learning to live fully in the present and let go of both the past and the future, time seemed to almost disappear. Once he was really focused on the moment and doing the small, unremarkable things with remarkable excellence and consistency, he actually wasn't aware of much time at all. Whole practices flashed by, and before he knew it, he had put in a solid 2-hour session. Unintentionally, Jason had created an environment ripe for slipping into what psychologists call a flow state, and he was experiencing it more and more during training. All his training was really paying off too. First time Jason really noticed it was after a pickup game in the courts at the park. He had mostly stuck to practicing alone like TD, but occasionally he would join Smokey and the other guys for a game. If Jason were honest with himself, he still had a chip on his shoulder from the first wipeout game he had played against them 2 summers ago. Now that he was playing at full strength, it usually was a pretty even match, but this night was different. Jason was playing on a different level, like he had found another gear the guys didn't even have access to. He drained every shot, breaking ankles all night with dizzying displays of footwork, leaving Smokey cursing, and single-handedly gave his team 6 wins in a row. On the last possession of the night, he couldn't resist showing off, unleashing a vicious Euro step and wham, throwing down the hardest dunk of the night yet. Seeing the open-mouthed looks on the guys' faces, Jason got a little cocky, talking trash all up in Smokey's face. He laughed, but realized that everyone else had gone totally silent. Confused, Jason turned around and froze as he saw TD was standing there, watching. He had seen the whole display. Jason flushed with embarrassment, even though he knew that he had earned the right to celebrate. Something about what he had just done rubbed him the wrong way now that his mentor was there. But TD didn't say anything about it. Instead, he just walked up, grabbed the ball, and smiled at the guys. Y'all need one more? Everyone was in awe to be playing with this legend, and they quickly chose sides. And as soon as Jason saw TD choose to join Smokey's team, he knew exactly what was going to happen next. That didn't make it any easier, though. For the next hour, Jason took TD to school. He put a beating on their team that made Jason's own success earlier that night look tame in comparison. Jason realized with one possession that for all of their time practicing, he had never seen TD play like this. The man practiced harder than anyone on the planet, but this was a whole nother level. Jason felt like he was playing against Superman. And by the time he collapsed to the court after the final humiliating basket and scoring 0 points, the lesson sunk in painfully. When the game was over, TD humbly and politely bumped fists with everyone on the court, and instead of gloating at his own success, he thanked them for playing. Afterwards, he and Jason walked back towards their house in silence. Finally, Jason worked up the courage to speak. Thanks for that. I get it now. Slowly, TD smiled. I hope so. You know, Jason, the byproduct of greatness isn't ego, it's humility. The best in the world always have a healthy, humble respect for the game and their opponent. You want to always stay humble and hungry. There's always more to learn and always room to grow. Mastery isn't a destination, it's a continual process and a never-ending journey. All right, I love that chapter. I love that chapter because there are levels to this thing. And the greatest in the world don't have to go around telling everybody what they just did. Everybody already saw it. Some of you may recognize the name Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders is played for the Detroit Lions, is the greatest running back in the history of the game. Arguably the greatest running back in the history of the game. And you never saw Barry Sanders gloat when he scored a touchdown. He humbly handed the ball to the official and ran back to the crew like he had been there before. Play like you've been there before. That is what sticks it to him the most. When you make a 3 in a game, don't run down the court, 1, 2, 3. Like, let your coach do that for you. Let your coach get hyped for you. You keep your ego down. You go out there and play, because guess what? The very next play, you get taken right to school. It's happened to me. I love playing basketball, and there are levels to this game. And no matter how good you think you are, there's always somebody better than you out there. Excuse me. And there's always somebody who's willing to show you that they're better than you out there. And having a healthy love and respect for the game, thanking people for coaching the game, for playing in the game with you, for coaching against you, for playing against you, thanking the officials, that goes a long way. And what it does is it communicates that you really truly do care about what it is that you're doing, and you don't just care about how you look. How you look and how you're doing in that very moment, it's a fleeting thing. But really developing that character and that humble that humble aura around you, what that makes you is somebody that people want to be around, because you make them feel better about being engaged in the process with you. All right, stay humble, people, and enjoy. We'll see you next time. Keep pounding that stone. Bye now.